In the past, instructors, teachers, professors spend most of their time in delivering content. Well, that has changed substantially over the years. And currently, both from a perspective of student learning, as well as utilization of existing technology, the role of the instructor today is in helping students learn, which is different than delivering content, right? So helping students learn means being able to answer their questions, to explain things in various ways so that they have more than one way of understanding the particular topic that they're studying. And another very important role is that of assessing their performance. So being able to create the right assessments and then and get a good sense of where the student is in their learning pathway, and then being able to provide feedback, because it's very important, both positive feedback and where necessary corrective feedback, so that the student learning is increased. And one other role which it becomes difficult, it's difficult these days with the pandemic, face-to-face classes are more challenging and have decreased in numbers. But in asynchronous education, and typically online is asynchronous, in other words, students and instructors are not together in a live lecture, being able to answer student questions is when the question arises in the student's mind is very, very important, right? Because typically in an asynchronous environment, the student may be studying something at some portions of the day or night, and they have a question, they don't understand it, and they can't reach the instructor. It takes 24 to 48 hours for the instructors to get back. So those areas, being able to answer student questions, assess performance, and provide feedback, that's where the focus of the professions of professors and instructors is today. And as you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of administrative tasks. So anything in technology-wise, AI-wise, that can help support these initiatives of answering questions, assessing performance, and providing feedback would be extremely welcome.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. I think you summarized it very nicely in terms of the three key things. We should take that as a key discussion today in terms of answering questions, evaluating performance, providing feedback. And specifically when you mentioned about answering questions, the logic that you mentioned that, when the student is in between something, and if a question arises in their mind, the impact on the learning of the student or the engagement of the student in that learning process would be much more if they get their responses, like promptly, literally within a few minutes or probably 30 minutes of they asking the question. That's one very important aspect, because while we have moved a lot of things into a blended learning environment or an online learning environment, there's also a talk about Zoom fatigue and the digital learning fatigue and whether the students are being engaged or not. And this is one point I think from a technology side we should look at as to how we can keep the learners engaged in their entire learning journey, keep the students engaged in their entire learning journey. So,
Rahul, if I may interject one more thing, when we talk about students generally, well, you mentioned K through 12, and we understand those or know about those students, but at the college level, people generally think of students in the 18 to 24-year range, which are the traditional college students, but there are a lot of adult working students, and for them, the challenges of managing their careers, managing their families and children and so forth is even greater. So in terms of being able to do asynchronous learning and provide them help when they need it, it becomes very important. Because the bulk of their time is not spent studying, it's spent doing other things. And so you have to sort of deliver learning or deliver instruction and have them learn in a concentrated and short time frame.